Welcome to Desire Made Real, a Discovery of Witches podcast where we recap every episode of the television show spoiler free. I am one of your hosts, Mandy Kay, and when I'm not talking about Matthew and Diana, I'm being talked into doing new podcasts by Caitlin.
And I'm Caitlin, and when I'm not talking about a Discovery of Witches, I'm failing at not starting new podcasts. Yep.
And I'm Anya, and when I'm not talking about vampire genetics, I'm podcasting about the stories that I love most over on Hallowed Ground Storycast with my co-host Alan.
Great. And just to sum up, for those of you who listened to episode 10, when I did my intro and I talked about trying really hard not to start a new podcast, not only did I fail, but I convinced Mandy to join me. So if you are looking to hear us during this downtime between Discovery of Witches news, we will be podcasting about the new Netflix show Shadow and Bone on our new show Enter the Fold. And you can listen to us there if you're interested.
And hopefully it will very soon be available on the podcatcher of your choice.
I mean, this won't be out till Friday.
So in theory, it's already out for everybody.
So usually we recap every episode of the TV show, but this is our season 2 wrap up and our look ahead to season 3 fun discussion with all three of us. But unlike our regular episodes, our wrap ups are open to spoilers. And so, especially since we're going to be discussing season 3 news, so please expect book 2 and 3 spoilers if you haven't read the books. FYI.
Since I'm only halfway through book 3, I'm very excited to see, potentially get spoiled on the air while we're recording. It could be fun.
It's always a good time. I don't see us discussing any big plot spoilers though, but I don't know. So we don't have many questions from our listeners that I particularly wanted to address, but we did get an email from someone named Suzanne who sent in a very nice correction about our misremembering of the Falcon scene in the book. We just couldn't really address in the show since we record 2 weeks ahead and it was awkward, but I just really it was a really nice email and I just wanted to say thank you.
Absolutely. We misremembered a lot of things this season because it had been so long since we had read the books. So I appreciate when our listeners very nicely let us know.
I think it's fine that we misremember. It sets us apart from all the other podcasts who know what they're talking about.
Yes, we are definitely professional podcasters here.
100%.
Oh, yeah.
And then we had a tweet from @SiegelBeagle88 on Twitter. And I've actually talked a bunch with her on Twitter about this season. But one thing she sent around episode 6 that I really wanted to discuss more in depth when we got to the end of the season was just how we were feeling about what episodes were directed by women and written by women and what were not. Because I feel like season 1 was much sexier than season 2.
Oh,
even though they actually had sex in season 2.
Yeah.
And I think a lot of that was due to it always ended up being men directing those scenes. Or that's just an opinion.
Well, because I remember in season 1 when they had the, what's the word? What did we say? When they were in the bed together?
The bundling?
Bundling, yes. When they had the bundling scene, we talked about that and how it was a super sexy scene, even though they didn't actually have sex. And none of the sex scenes in season 2 were quite up to that level.
Yeah.
And I find that interesting. And it didn't occur to me to check to see who had directed the different seasons or different episodes.
Wait, so Kate, let me just be clear. Are you saying that you think season 1 felt sexier than season 2 because those episodes were directed by women or because those episodes were directed by men?
Okay. So actually, I didn't check the season 1 episodes. I know the scene that I personally consider the sexiest in season 1 when they are at the Bishop house, tearing each other's clothes off, literally. That one was directed by a woman.
Okay. Okay. So you're saying then in season 2, you think the male directors played down the sex?
Or maybe it was I don't know whose choice it was.
Yeah, maybe coincidence.
Maybe coincidence.
Okay.
Maybe just the general fact of the will they, won't they ends up being sexier than the now they have.
Yeah, that was going to be my theory, is just that the tension of coming together is sexier and more romantic, right? Like that's kind of the whole point of the romance genre is they get together at the end, not at the very beginning. So yeah, I kind of just put it down to the fact that now they were together and now we're doing more of a adventure story with strong romantic themes rather than like more of a romance with strong adventure themes.
That's fair. I guess I just wish we'd seen episode 6 directed by a woman. I would have liked that.
I've been spending this moment Googling the episode in season 1 with the bundling was directed by a woman.
I can't help but think that this matters.
I think it matters just in aesthetically. Men and women do have different sensibilities. And so I think it may have something to do with stylistically how things were interpreted. But, everybody has their own desires and feelings about what is sexy and what isn't. So even though you and I think that the bundling episode was more sexy than maybe what we had in season 2, there are a lot of people who thought season 2 was super, super sexy.
I'm not saying season 2 wasn't sexy. I'm just saying season 1 was sexier.
Yeah.
And that's like the one thing that I think season 1 got better than season 2.
Yeah. I mean, but I think Anya has a point too. Season 1 was definitely more romance and season 2 was more action.
This is, it more than one factor.
Yeah. Definitely a great conversation though.
So then I just have some general questions about season 2 that we can answer as much or as little as we want. They were just things I came up with that we could talk about.
Okay.
Let's go.
All right. So let's start with what was everybody's favorite Elizabethan outfit?
The wedding dress.
See, mine is Matthew's wedding outfit.
Oh, see, I wasn't even thinking about Matthew's clothes. I was just thinking about all the pretty dresses.
No, that's fair. But I really love that shirt that he wears to the wedding, the doublet, jerkin, tunic, I don't know what you call it. It's just gorgeous and I want it.
Okay, then I think I'm going to have to say for Diana, it's her wedding dress because of that lace collar. It's everything. But for Matthew, it's going to have to be the cape and the hat with the feather in it.
That one's good too, but I like that one on Matthew. It's not one that I want for me.
Fair enough.
Like his wedding outfit.
Yeah. Okay. All right. What about you, Anya?
I feel like I'm going to reveal something about my bisexual tendencies when I say that I really like Diana in the riding pants with her like dress bodice loosely worn over like a blouse.
Yeah, no, that one's definitely good too. Like, I don't want to wear Diana's wedding dress, but I would totally wear that.
Yeah, and she pulls off the mix of like feminine and masculine and like old and modern, and like something about it just works together really well. Although I have to say, like, maybe my favorite outfit cinematically was the dress that she was wearing when she was rowing out her frustration. Because the color in the dress just like so perfectly matched the like fall foliage on the hills behind her.
Yeah.
That was just like, I don't know how well the costuming department like planned for that, but like that was amazing.
And it's not an outfit, but I loved her hair at the scenes when she was at the Emperor's Palace. With the blue ribbon woven through.
Yes, that was good. I liked whenever she had her hair in like a net. I like that. That was just my favorite hair look. My favorite dress of Diana's was the one she wore, I think, when they went to go meet John Dee. I think that's the one where she's wearing like the bronzy fall colored one. Okay. I think that's it. I could be wrong, but the bronzy fall colored one, that's the one I like. Although I do also like it might be the same dress that Anya's talking about, but I just picture it more in the scene where she's sort of facing off with Philippe. Because I like that one because it's got, like, the skirt is a different color than the top part. And I don't know, I just thought that one really worked. I liked how it looked. It was very understated, but very nice. All right. Favorite adaptation choice?
I was not prepared for this question. I should have been prepared for this question, but I wasn't.
I can go first.
Okay.
I think my favorite adaptation choice was just how they sort of picked the book apart and then rebound it up together and streamlined it.
Yeah.
So that it was less back and forth.
Yeah, I think I will agree with that from the standpoint of they cut out a lot of fluff, like having a start in London instead of starting at the lodge and kind of having everything just basically be London, Sator, or Bohemia. Like that's it. Those were the three places we were at this season instead of kind of being all over the place like they were in the book. And so that really centered the story.
Yeah, I think that's definitely the correct answer. Just because, I mean, it's the biggest change, right? That has the strongest impact on the story. But just to give a little bit of diversity in the answers, I think my favorite smaller scale adaptive choice is the way that they completely rewrote the beginning of Marcus's and Phoebe's relationship.
Right.
Just in like, oh my God, the book was so bad. Marcus is an asshole. He's like a typical like smarmy man who doesn't know how to take no for an answer and is basically just like sexually harassing her. And then in the TV show, they had them actually like flirt together and share interests, and Phoebe showed interest back. And it was a much better, more modern take on romance, I think.
Mm-hmm. I had actually forgotten that about Book Marcus, but you're right.
So you've gotten at least that far in your reread? Calling you out.
Oh, thanks. Yeah. I did not fulfill my promise of rereading the book before we recorded this.
I love that it wasn't me who called you out.
Yeah. Thanks, Anya. Appreciate it.
Yeah, okay, so moving on so that Mandy doesn't have to. Actually, you know what? Let's do least favorite adaptation choice. What did you not like that they changed?
Ooh.
Do we have to narrow it down to only one?
No, you can say whatever you want.
Can I just say I wish there was more Gallow Glass?
Yes.
Yeah. When I say favorite, least favorite, I guess I just mean which ones do you want to talk about?
I wanted more Gallow Glass for sure. But I also wanted way more Philippe than we got. I'm disappointed that we didn't get much Philippe and we didn't get very much of her dad because I can't. Okay. So full disclosure, I didn't reread the book like I was supposed to, but my memory of the book is that the way it was written and the way the story was told, we got a significant amount of time with both Philippe and Diana's father. And they narrowed both of those stories down to a single episode. And that just doesn't feel right to me. And it bothers me.
I guess mine is also having to do with time because it's not my least favorite in that I think that they made the wrong choice. It's just that I'm sad they didn't have time, and that is Diana's miscarriage.
Yeah, that's the other big one.
And mostly just because those stories never get told.
Yeah.
And I feel like, not necessarily incorrectly, this season focused a lot on Matthew's life in the Elizabethan era and, you know, his friends and all that. And I just feel like the books are told from Diana's perspective and are largely, the audience is largely women, and it's a story about women. And I just feel like a lot of those parts of the story have been cut out. And it's now a story about Matthew, which is not necessarily incorrect for the plot.
Right.
It's just I miss some of those.
Well, there were a lot of things in the book, like details of Diana's life in the past that impacted the future or present, I guess, however you can talk about time travel. And there were more of those anachronisms that they addressed, like Diana writing in her book, like practicing Elizabethan handwriting and figuring out the money differences and all of that. You know, she documented that in a book, and like just little things like that to kind of show the continuity between the two times, and that the people in the present are trying to keep track and understand what's happening with Matthew and Diana. And we didn't get that. We got in the present, everybody's just waiting. They're just waiting around, hoping that something changes and that Matthew and Diana comes back. And I think that did a disservice to all of the people still in the present. Like, we should have had more of Isabeau and Em and Sarah communicating like as a family instead of just people forced to be together, except for the few like seconds long scenes that we got.
Yeah.
Like, I feel like I'm making it sound like I don't like the season. I feel like there were some things that they did really, really well. And I think there were some things they could have done better. Although part of me understands that they had a very limited amount of time and space to tell the story.
Yeah, like I get this is a huge book with so much in it. And largely I think they made good choices. There were some things that I wish they'd prioritized certain things.
Yeah. Yeah.
I think that what we did get of Isabeau was really good. Like the scene with her and Joubert.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Was hilarious. And I don't think that was in the book. It's been a while since I've read it at this point.
No, in book 2, there's very, very little modern day scenes. And it's like Marcus gets the paintings from Phoebe and is a bit of an ass. They do find the book. I forget exactly who goes after it or if they do get it. But like
there's a whole chapter from the librarian or the museum curator's point of view.
Mm-hmm.
So I forget which one of our characters gets the book, but we first find out about the book from the point of view of just the museum curator trying to figure out where it's from.
Just because we're still talking about the book that Diana wrote in, right?
Yeah. Okay, the
great.
museum is in Spain.
Okay, just because when we say the book and we're talking about
not
story,
not
you
the
know,
book
I'm like, yeah, okay, all right. So let's move on. Unless anybody else had anything else to say, sorry.
I guess I'll go back to the question of favorite adaptive choices and just give a couple more. I feel like I really liked I don't know if this is specifically an adaptive choice, but I feel like the TV show's versions of Kit and Louisa I liked a little bit better than the book's version. Just versions. I think just because, I don't know. I think the TV show version of Louisa, you get more of that like crazy fun side of her. Like
More personality.
There's something about her that's like a little bit more captivating than just being, like horrible and malicious.
Mm-hmm.
Like a little bit of that Drusilla glee, I think, that the actress managed to capture in the TV show. And then a similar thing for Kit. I feel like TV show Kit is a bit more sympathetic and pitiful rather than like just a possessive asshole. I mean, he is also that, but in a way that makes him a bit more complicated and sympathetic. I mean, not that you're rooting for him at any point, but you're kind of just like, oh honey, no.
Yeah, no, I think you're right about Louisa. She definitely has more personality in the show. In the book, she was just a blood rage malicious plot device.
Yeah
And we actually at least got to know a little bit about her motivation, and it wasn't just blood rage for her, it was sport, right?
Yeah.
Like it
and the relationship between Kit and Louisa, like we get a little bit of that and kind of understand why they even like each other and are hanging out.
Yeah, for sure.
I liked all those scenes too, and I think the show benefits from not being from Diana's point of view. All right. This one is probably going to be, well, actually, I don't know Anya's answer, but favorite episode?
Episode 6.
Anya?
Oh, I was waiting for you to say episode 6.
Oh, no, mine's episode 9.
Oh, interesting. I don't know. It's, I wasn't really like thinking about these episodes as episodes per se.
Because you binged?
I binged the second time through. Yeah. I feel like this style of prestige TV show, there's, okay, because this is the one other show that we all have in common. Like when you talk about an episode of Buffy, right? It's like a capital E episode of television. Like this is the one where blah, 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 blah. And when you have these, the more modern style of television, prestige television shows where it's like, here's a story and we're just kind of chopping it up into 10 pieces randomly, or, not completely randomly, but like, I don't know. It's just, to me, it almost feels like a question that doesn't matter. Like, I would never go back and just be like, I really want to watch episode 8 again, Like, I'm either watching the whole thing or not rewatching it at all.
Interesting, because I've watched episode 6 and 9 more than the other episodes.
Yeah, I don't know. Maybe it's just a difference in like the way that we watch TV shows, but like.
All right, well, do you have like a favorite bit, a favorite scene, a favorite thing? Give us something here, Anya.
Okay. I don't know. I liked anything with Isabeau. I liked Isabeau and Phoebe meeting each other for the first time.
Yeah.
I like Phoebe and Marcus's original flirting. Okay, I should probably think about something from the past that I also liked.
You don't have to. If you were into the modern day stuff.
Yeah, I think I really did like the modern day stuff. I mean, obviously the bulk of the season is the past stuff. And if the past stuff hadn't worked, the season wouldn't have worked at all. I guess I think I liked the set tour stuff the most, and then maybe London the next most, and then Bohemia, aside from that one scene with Gallowglass walking in after the fire, was probably like my least favorite. Not because it was
That was
bad.
a good scene, but
Yeah, but just Bohemia was kind of underwhelming compared to the other two.
yeah.
And I think part of it, was maybe just like where they directed their budget. And God, Emperor Rudolph was just such a fucking asshole.
Yeah.
I mean, but that's good.
Yeah.
That means he was doing a good job.
Yeah, I guess I really liked all the stuff with Rabbi Lowe, though.
All right, well, actually, that brings me to my last question that I have here. What was everybody's favorite new actor?
The woman who plays Phoebe, for me.
Yeah, I didn't look up names, and I knew I was going to ask this question. Adele Leonce is Phoebe.
That's right. I mean, I feel like I kind of have to say James Purefoy or Stephen Cree.
Yeah.
Like, there's no wrong answer, but they were so good. Like,
James Purefoy is Philippe, who is the second person?
Stephen Cree is Gallowglass.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
But I mean, everybody was good. The woman who played Mary Sydney, she played her wonderfully.
Oh, yeah. Queen Elizabeth, like, totally pulled off.
Oh, yeah, she nailed it.
The monarch, yeah.
Like, there was no bad casting. Like, I was concerned before the season started, largely because I wasn't familiar with everybody that they cast, right? And we were going up against Teresa Palmer and Matthew Good, who we have just come to love so much. But there was no bad casting once we actually saw everything. Like,
okay, I will object.
Okay.
This is not not technically a new season 2 person, but kind of a new season 2 person. I did not like Diana's dad.
Okay. Was it the actor or the way they wrote him?
I think definitely a little bit of both. Like, I think the writing for him was not good, especially compared to any of the other characters. And then also, I think his delivery was just like a little bit flatter than I think the rest of the cast.
I think that's the problem when you cast someone to do one thing and then, oh no, we need him to actually do a whole big thing in the next season.
Yeah.
You know? Not that he's necessarily a bad actor. I just mean that he was not necessarily the type of actor for the scenes that they needed in season 2.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And like, I mean, that's a tall order, right? Like, basically needing someone to pull off, like, seeing your adult daughter while time traveling in the past and knowing that you're about to die probably, and this is your one chance to like relate to your daughter as an adult, like grown up to grown up. It's obviously, I'm not an actor. I could not pull that off. But yeah, it just kind of, his performance and the writing pulled me out.
Okay.
And that was the one time in the whole season where I felt like I wasn't just bought into what was happening on screen 100%.
I think that's why I wanted them to have more time together, because I wanted to enjoy that relationship so much more than what we got on screen. Because in the book, I really did enjoy it a lot.
Yeah.
And I think you hit the nail on the head with it. Like his performance was not nuanced enough for that character.
Yeah. And the dialogue was almost like comic book cheesy bad.
To be fair, for the writing of the dialogue, his dialogue was like that in the book, and I think what Deborah Harkness was trying to do with that was show that he was from the 70s or the 80s or whatever it was, you know, like she was trying to make him sound different than modern day Diana.
I see.
But it just came across as being weird.
Yeah.
Got it.
And then I think they were trying to adapt that dialogue and keep some of it, but also make it less terrible, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
And also like the general notion that he might not be able to get over that he's talking to his 4-year-old daughter, even though she's 32 now, you know? So he would still be talking to her as if she were a child sometimes in the book.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Maybe just for his own like sanity, that, you know, that he sort of had to keep thinking of her that way.
Oh, yeah. Actually, this reminds me. Can we go back to favorite adaptive choices? Not having Diana call him daddy all the time.
Oh, fuck. Yes. Thank God.
That would have been so bad. Like, and again, I totally go what Deborah Harkness is going for. Like, she wants to remind us that Diana hasn't seen him since she was like
7 or 8.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so it makes sense that a 7 or 8-year-old would call him daddy, but like you just can't have that coming out of an adult woman's mouth. And I feel like it also is like, I mean, yeah, reality is no excuse for fiction, as Lonnie Heinrich always says. But from my perspective, I feel like Diana's 35, a tenure track professor, like she would have had to talk about her dad at various points as an adult. And I just feel like she would have gotten used to saying like, my dad, my father, you know, like, I don't think who you are when you are, you know, in your 30s is so different from who you are when you were 7 or 8. I don't think you would lapse right back in to calling your parent daddy.
I think I disagree. In part because I still call my dad daddy sometimes.
Really? Okay.
I do, but I'm also Southern, and that's definitely a different thing. And Diana is far from Southern.
She's pretty waspy.
But when you talk about someone and then you're talking to someone, it's slightly different, especially if the only name you ever knew somebody from physically was mommy or daddy. When you see that person again, it totally makes sense to me that you would revert to calling them by the name. Because when you're a child, like, you don't necessarily know that your parents have a different name than mom or dad or mommy or daddy. Like, you may intellectually know, but because you never use it, it's like muscle memory.
Maybe I'm the wrong person to be talking about this, because I have pretty much called my parents by their first names from like even when I was a kid, and I didn't even realize that was weird until like one of my friends pointed that out, and they were like, wait, why do you call your parents by their first names? And I was like, I don't know, that's what, like, because that's their names.
This is the most you thing I've ever discovered.
I don't know, like, they sometimes called each other by their names. That's just like who they called us by our names, whatever.
Yeah, no, that makes total logical sense. Absolutely. But there are children who don't know their parents have other names until they're older, like middle school age even. So I buy it in the book. I'm glad we didn't have to hear Teresa Palmer saying it.
I will say, in defense of the book, it was published in 2011, so it was written probably like 2009, which is perhaps prior to the word daddy becoming synonymous on the internet for I want to fuck you.
Yeah, that's fair.
So
okay, fair.
So I think in the book, like, I genuinely think Deborah Harkness was not thinking about that at all.
Oh, I'm 100% sure Deborah Harkness was not thinking about that at all. But you bring up a good point that, like, this book is probably over 10 years old at this point. So yeah, it makes sense that, well, and also Deborah Harkness is maybe not as much of a creature of the internet as,
People who podcast.
Yeah. That it makes sense that that's not where her mind would be.
Yeah.
Just because I didn't answer, technically my favorite new actor is James Purefoy, but I also just wanted to bring up, since we haven't yet, I didn't even look up his name during that whole fucking conversation. The kid who played Jack.
Yeah.
Because he was fabulous.
Yeah.
They
didn't give him a lot, but what they gave him, he did phenomenally with.
I really want to hear what his normal accent sounds like and know what kind of accent coaching they gave him. Because it sounded good to my ears. Obviously, I'm not actually British, but like accents are hard for adults. And so for a kid to be able to pull that off is super impressive.
Just to say his name, it's Joshua Blue Pickering, who I actually think is likely in town right now with like where I live.
Oh, he's in Vancouver.
Well, he on Instagram said something about getting a job and flying to Canada, and I don't think that they're filming in Toronto right now, so likely he's here.
Cool.
Because Toronto is a COVID cesspit.
Yes. But I mean, they also don't seem to care in Toronto, so maybe they're doing filming there. But I mean, likely most of the filming that's done in Canada is done here. Most of the filming in the world, I'm pretty sure, is. That's my favorite thing about Discovery of Witches. Not filmed in Vancouver. Thank God.
Nice.
Even if it had been, at least for season 2, you probably wouldn't have recognized.
You'd be surprised.
Really?
You'd be surprised. Sometimes I just need to see a shot of trees, and I'm like, oh, that's here.
Oh.
It has literally happened.
Oh, that probably takes you out of the story a lot, doesn't it?
So much. That was all the questions I had. Before we move on to discussing season 3, did anyone have anything else they wanted to say about season 2?
I think for me, I mean, season 2 was better than season 1 overall, even though it sounds like I complain about it a lot. That doesn't mean I didn't enjoy it. And
I feel like our wrap-up episodes always end up being us getting out our frustrations.
Yeah. Always.
Even
though
though
this is 2 of 2.
Yeah. Even if we overall liked the season, we just something about our wrap-up, we're like, okay, let's just word vomit everything we hated.
Yeah. But I mean, I'm really excited for season 3 if it continues this trajectory, right? Like season 2 is better than season 1, so I'm hoping season 3 is better than season 2. Although, because they gave us fewer episodes and it's a longer book, I'm slightly concerned.
So I'm about halfway through book 3 right now for the first time, and a lot of book 3 is exposition and dialogue.
Oh my God.
That's like my impression of the first half. And so I feel like there might be ways to streamline that quite a bit.
Oh yeah. So much of book 3 is just talking. Mm-hmm. Like I like book 3 and that works in a book, but so much of it is just I'm like, we don't need this. Carry on, please.
Okay.
From the perspective of adapting it into a TV show, there's so much they can cut out easily.
Yeah.
Although I'm okay, this is not about season 2. So actually, okay, my thoughts on season 2. I really liked it. I'm so sad that we're losing this fabulous costume department. I mean, the department might still be there, but you know what I mean. Mm-hmm. And then we're just going to see them go back to their professor outfits. Though, I like their modern day clothes too. Everybody looks great, but I
wonder if any of their fashion choices when they come back to the present will be inspired by or motivated by the past. Like, will Diana have just discovered that she just really loves the way this one thing is, and so she's gonna like bring it into her modern clothing choices? That would be interesting.
I would love to see that.
The lace collars, definitely the lace collars.
The pictures that I've seen from set, she just looks like season 1 Diana, like down to the blue coat.
Oh, her season 1 costume, because it was really just like one, was so boring compared to what we got in season 2.
I mean, it wasn't just one. She had some really good sweaters in season 1.
I know, but it felt like.
And I will say, the first time I saw the picture of her in a blue coat, I was like, I got like nostalgia feels. Like, Diana's in her blue coat again. She's home.
While we're talking about locations, I'm wondering if they're going to actually film on Yale's campus for season 3.
No.
Because I'm in that part of the book right now, and so much of the book to me feels like it's just dedicated to giving a strong sense of place of like Yale as a location.
Right.
And so I feel like,
but they did not.
oh, okay.
Because
so they'll just be using like a generic
or
campus or something.
or they might not even go. Who knows?
Yeah. Oh, that's a good point.
Because I can absolutely see them just having Chris come to England and cutting out them going to the Bishop House. Because so much of book 3 is them arriving at a new house.
I mean, to be fair, a lot of book 2 was also them arriving at a new house.
But in book 3, it is more. Because they go from Septur to the Bishop House. And then then to Yale, where they're staying at like Diana's old house there. And then they split up. So and then Diana goes to London, where, oh, hey, a new house that Matthew owns. And then they end up back at Septur, except they don't go to Septur because Isabeau's like, here, we have this mini castle over here. You guys can have that. And then from that, they go back to London. And it's like, Jesus Christ.
And don't they spend a lot of time, at least for the new houses, talking about how they're decorated?
Yes, they do.
In the books.
I do want them to keep the house in London because I like that. Because Diana discovers that Matthew kept their Elizabethan bed there. And she's like, our bed is here. Yay.
Okay.
But
cool.
that's the only one I care about. The rest of that, so many houses. So I guess that's season 2 wrapped up. We're moving on to season 3. So I do know that they didn't leave England because A, COVID, and B, money, I guess, for filming. And they also did construct the exterior of a house that was supposed to look New Orleans-ish.
Oh, interesting.
Oh.
Yeah.
That's right. I forgot they spent some time in New Orleans.
Well, Matthew does. Well, Matthew and Jack and Ransom. Marcus, they go to see Ransom in New Orleans. But again, we don't get much of it in the book, so I think they've really upped its content. But let's talk about the new casting. Do we want to discuss New Baldwin first? Let's do it. We've recast Baldwin.
No! I'm so sad. Because honestly, like, I feel... okay, how do I want to say this? I really enjoyed Baldwin in season 1. Like, he's an ass, but he is a charismatic ass, I guess. And I think the TV show did a good job of making him more sympathetic and understandable than he is in the book. And so, you know, as I've been reading through the 3rd book, I really have enjoyed, like, picturing the actor doing his asshole thing over all the stuff that Baldwin does in book 3. And now I'm just, like, crushed knowing that I will never get that.
Yeah.
Yeah. I was super disappointed when I found out they were recasting. I mean, I think everybody was, right? But
not to mention the actual guy who played Baldwin probably the most of all of us.
Yeah. We should say none of this, like, I'm sure the new actor is going to be great. I don't want to disparage on him. I just really, really loved old Baldwin. Tristan.
Yeah.
Tristan Gravel.
Do you want to explain why he's having to be recast?
Oh, because...
yeah, I mean, he wasn't fired.
No, he wasn't fired. He's been cast in the Amazon Lord of the Rings series, and they are filming in New Zealand. And because of COVID rules, he just couldn't get out of New Zealand to make it back in time.
Well, on the plus side, we'll get to see him in something else.
This is true. Something that I will likely, like, I have a Lord of the Rings podcast already, so I don't even need to start something new to talk about that one.
Right.
Yeah.
That's nice.
What character is he in Lord of the Rings?
I don't know that they've announced enough about the new show to even have character names yet.
Well, actually, yeah. No, the whole cast is listed here with 0 character names. But we do know some of them because I know who's playing Galadriel, and I don't know. It's not on IMDb, and I don't know if I knew at any point in time.
I could see him as like a good Boromir.
Well, this is nothing to do with Boromir will not be alive.
Wait. Oh, it's The Hobbit.
No, it's before that.
Pre that.
Oh, it's okay. Sure. I apparently am not plugged in enough to Lord of the Rings fandom to know anything about what the show is doing.
That's fair. Anyways, yeah, I'm excited to see him in that. But I'm just so very sad that Baldwin will no longer have a Welsh accent.
He'll be Irish now.
That's fine, I guess, but it's not Baldwin.
Wait, I had no idea that he had a Welsh accent this whole time.
He sounds so Welsh. How did you not know this?
I don't know what Welsh people sound like.
Yeah, I don't either.
Oh, okay. I guess the one Welsh person I know is, and no, quote unquote, Becca from Great British Bake Off. So I'll have to go back and watch him and see if I think he sounds like Becca.
I mean, it's possible that like the actor is, downplaying the accent, but I don't know. I can hear it. I think Welsh people sound completely different than English people.
See, my ears are so untrained that I just hear British accent. And it's just like, it's all British. Like, I know that there are different ones, like, and I can generally tell the difference between like a Cockney accent and like a standard British accent. But for me, my ears just hear British. And even sometimes my ears hear Australian and think it's British. So I suck.
Yeah, I'm only slightly better than you. I can kind of do Liverpool if someone sounds like the Beatles. And I can do like received pronunciation, and I'm like finally just being able to tell the difference between like South and North. If someone sounds like Sean Bean, then I'm like, okay, that's probably Northern.
Yeah.
But yeah, I have to use like specific people as benchmarks.
I would say that I recognize a Welsh accent because I used to work with somebody who was Welsh, and that really imprinted on me. But actually, it's because I've watched like all of Gavin and Stacey.
Oh, okay, yeah.
More than once, because I enjoy Gavin and Stacey, which is a British sitcom about an English dude who falls in love with a Welsh girl and how they're different.
Okay, who's next up in our casting list?
We've got.
Oh, wait, we didn't really talk about Peter McDonald though at all. We were just.
Well, I've never seen him in anything. He seems fine. We get like a brief 1-second glimpse of him in the teaser of being angry. It's probably less than a second actually, because when those scenes are going by really quickly, they go by really quickly.
Okay, so no thoughts, just
We're sad about Tristan because he was perfect. But again, I don't want to I'm sure he'll be great. It's fine. Okay, so the next person I have on my list here is Genesis Linnea as Geraldine. Wow, it's not even on her Wikipedia page yet. So when Geraldine was announced, Twitter was basically like, who the fuck is Geraldine? And that is, despite getting an answer from Deborah Harkness, I still have no idea.
Oh, so she's not in the book.
Apparently she is. But like for a brief second, she's part of the New Orleans crew. So
I see, okay.
She's a vampire with Ransom. And like in the book, we actually see them for half a chapter from Matthew's point of view,
She is apparently Marcus's vampire daughter.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Who came to New Orleans with a traveling circus and was famous for her acrobatic skill.
I have zero memory of her in the book, and I literally just reread that. Okay, but the actress looks great, and I'm interested to see how they put more New Orleans stuff in, more of Marcus's children.
Yeah. Well, especially since, because one of the things that you and I kind of lamented about over the course of season 2 is that there are a lot of things that books 1 and 2 built up to that were important in book 3. Like the pregnancies, the fact that she could get pregnant and that Martin knew it, and the blood rage. All of those things have very important implications in season 3. And we got very little of it in season 1 and 2. And so I'm still trying to figure out, how are they going to make all of this stuff happen without making it seem like it's come just out of the blue?
I would even say that season 1 implies that Marcus has no children. And I genuinely thought they were going to cut them out.
Actually, okay, I had a question about that.
Mm-hmm.
Because... So I remember that scene at the beginning of season 1 where Marcus tries to turn his friend and it quote unquote doesn't work. I'm just trying to go back and play. Did it actually not work? Or did he just make a vampire with blood rage and did Matthew kill him?
No, it did not.
No,
work.
it didn't work.
Okay.
I mean, because that's another thing that's spurring them on that they didn't touch on hardly at all in season 2, is that the reason that Matthew and Miriam are geneticists is because creatures are dying out and they're trying to figure out why and figure out if they can reverse it. And that's going to come back into play in season 3, but it's been so long since we've heard about it because that was all season 1 stuff, that it's one of those things that I don't quite know.
Are they just gonna
how they're gonna tie it all together?
Maybe they'll just put scenes from season 1 in the previously on and try to
sure they will.
Probably.
I'm sure they will.
Probably.
Yeah.
It's gonna be so jarring going back to the present. I was so happy in the teaser to see that it looks like we're gonna actually see Matthew and Diana time walking back.
Oh, good.
And not because they're still, because in fact, I thought of you when you said this earlier, Anya. It looks like Diana is wearing her riding pants again, with like a floofy, puffy sleeve shirt I don't know what I'm trying to say. It looks like she's wearing some Elizabethan clothes, but like her masculine version.
Nice.
And Matthew looks like he's in the exact outfit that they originally arrived in. So at least we'll have some sort of a connection. I don't know. It's going to be weird. Anyways, so let's go with, then Ransom has been cast as Parker Sawyers.
Ransom is another one of the children?
Yeah, he's sort of like the head of Marcus's children.
Well, I'm glad they cast at least one American.
Yeah, since Marcus is American. And that is where he made most of his children.
Well, but the guy they cast to play Chris is British.
That's why I'm thinking they're not even going to have him be from Yale. Maybe.
Oh, you think they'll just... maybe they'll have him... Interesting. Okay, maybe.
Maybe they won't even be friends, like previously. Oh,
that would be... No, they need to keep that.
Because she wouldn't trust him then.
Yeah.
Anyway, sorry, we're talking about Parker Sawyers as Ransom. And he looks great. I don't think I've seen him in anything.
I don't think so either.
But he looks pretty much how I always pictured Ransom. And he's been in a lot.
He played a young Barack Obama in South Side with You.
Interesting.
Yeah, I'm looking at his list, and I have not seen any of these.
No, I've not seen a single one.
He was in the Tom Cruise The Mummy.
Yeah, I will never see that on principle.
Yeah, same.
I've still never seen The Mummy. I feel like...
The original?
Yeah.
It's a good time.
Oh, the original is absolutely worth
watching.
watching.
We actually shouldn't say the original because the original's from the 1930s, but the Brendan Fraser one, good time.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Well, I know everyone loves it, so...
Yeah, so I honestly, I don't have a ton to say about the casting for season 3 because I'm just not familiar with these actors. One of them I am familiar with from one thing, but we haven't gotten to him yet.
I will say I like that they're actually casting people that I don't know. I like going into something without preconceived notions.
Yeah, I agree.
So that's nice. But then, yes, let's do our human. Chris has been cast as Ivano Jeremiah, who not so much in his headshot looks like how I pictured Chris, but in that brief bit that we get of him in the teaser where he's in the lab coat and he looks kind of like, ugh, that's very Chris.
Yeah. Well, apparently I have seen him because he was in an episode of Black Mirror and I've seen all of those, but didn't recognize him.
I'm just slightly worried because the actor is English but Chris is very much leaning into his Southern Alabama black man thing. And so I mean, a lot of British actors are really good at doing a flawless standard American accent, but I am very skeptical of their ability to pull off Southern specifically. But yeah, maybe they are just changing his character in that way. So, and then it, won't really matter.
They've done that with other characters because Sophie was supposed to be Southern.
Oh, and she's just standard American.
And Agatha and presumably Nat are Australian.
Oh, I was wondering about that because they mentioned something about Australia in the books and I was like, wait, what? But yeah, that makes more sense. I guess I just forgot they were Australian. Because they just, at least their accents to me, they seem like they're playing them as just like straight up British.
Yeah, they are. They've definitely just made people British. And I think like Peter Knox is supposed to be Scottish in the books, I think.
Yeah.
And that sort of thing.
I just found a quote from him, and he says that he's playing a molecular biologist from Tennessee.
Oh.
And loyal university friend to Diana. So he is still going to be playing a Southern American professor dude.
But maybe Tennessee has a lighter accent than Alabama? I have no idea where Tennessee is.
Depends on what part it can be. I mean, Tennessee is north of Alabama, but Tennessee is still very Southern.
Yeah.
But it depends on where in Tennessee.
But I feel like Tennessee has more big cities where, like, if he was from Memphis or Nashville, he might not have a super strong accent.
Particularly being a PhD.
Yeah.
Someone who's gone through, many graduate
and
degrees.
has presumably spent a lot of time in Yale. Yale's a university, not a city. Whatever city's near there.
New Haven.
Sure.
Yeah. I mean, it doesn't say he's from Yale here. This doesn't really say enough, so I don't...
They did mention in season 1 that Diana was from, or like she's a PhD from, that she's tenured at Yale, so presumably.
That's right. Okay, yeah. So it just says he's a university friend to Diana, so probably is Yale. But maybe they do bring him to Oxford.
They must, because otherwise, they must.
Yeah. Well, I hope he's good. I'm sure he'll be good. It just, oh my God. I'm just thinking of, what's his face? James Bond in Knives Out, Daniel Craig.
Yeah. And his accent?
Oh,
his accent.
That terrible accent.
His accent wasn't bad, but the whole time I was watching that, I was just like, I think he just watched a lot of seasons of House of Cards, and his accent in that movie is just him trying to be Kevin Spacey.
Well, he was actually... Okay, this is completely off topic from Discovery, which is he was modeling his accent off of a specific person.
Oh, was he?
Who really is from Kentucky, I think, and really does sound like that.
Okay.
But most people don't know that that's a very specific accent, if that makes sense.
Okay.
I genuinely thought that he was, they wanted it to sound fake.
No, he was modeling it off of an actual real historian, like a Civil War historian. But I didn't know that until afterwards. So even me listening to it as someone who lives in the South, I was thinking, wow, that's really over the top.
Yeah.
That's all. Rant, tangent, over.
So we'll be interested to see what they do with Chris. But yeah. I don't know. The actor, I haven't seen anything that they've been in.
I just want to put in a short plug for, if you want to hear Mandy talk about the South, you should listen to her podcast with Dr. Kelly Jones called, what is it called?
Southern Fried Pop Culture.
Southern Fried Pop Culture.
Yeah, Southern Fried Pop Culture.
Yeah. Which we haven't had a new episode in a couple of years, but we've been talking about it again, so.
It's a good time. You talk about movies that I would probably never watch.
Oh, that hurts my heart.
Okay, next. Let's talk about Jack, adult Jack. We finally have the answer to the question we wanted all season. Toby Regbo as Jack.
So this is the person that I am familiar with.
I am also familiar with him, although I don't think I've seen anything, but
Actually, you have.
What have I have?
He's in one of the Fantastic Beasts movies.
He was in Harry Potter and the Deathly Hallows as well. I didn't realize this. He played young Albus Dumbledore.
Oh, yeah, I knew that. Right, of course.
But that's not where I know him from. I know him as playing Francis on
Reign.
The CW television show Reign.
Yeah, that's a show that I am familiar with, but I never watched. But I recognize him from promotional stuff that I've seen.
And my husband is continually trying to get me to watch Mr. Nobody, and apparently he was in that as well. So,
well, I'm very glad that I accidentally spoiled myself on Jack coming back by listening to the spoilers on the podcast.
I think I cut that out from when I actually because it was a spoiler. But when Anya and I recorded our first bonus episode, she was like, on our first episode in the spoilers, we were just talking about season 2, so she thought she was safe. And the first thing we say on our episode 2 spoilers is when Jack is an adult in modern day, blah, blah, blah. She was like, what?
Oh, no.
Yeah, she's like, vampire Jack. And I was like, no.
Yeah. That's how we felt when we read it.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I had a different removed experience, but.
I think he's perfect, honest. Looks-wise, I don't know. I have no idea if he can act. I assume he can because he's been in a bunch of stuff. But looks-wise,
Yeah.
yep, that's Jack.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah, absolutely. I totally see him as Jack.
And he's apparently a good artist also. He draws and Jack needs that, so...
Oh, good. Yeah, I was going to say, I'm really excited to see the, like, crazy string wall. I mean, without the string, but, you know, basically that.
Yeah.
I think that would be so much fun to put together as a set designer.
I do hope they keep that and like Jack's kind of offness that he has. He looks great. I'm very happy with that casting of Jack. And then our last cast announcement was Olivier Huband. I don't know if I said that right. I'm not good about Spanishy type things. As Fernando. And he looks great. I'm perfectly happy with him.
Yeah.
And just from things that I've seen on social media, I think him and Stephen Cree have a really fun relationship, which is all I want.
Who's Stephen Cree?
Gallowglass.
Gallagher.
Oh, yeah.
He hasn't done a lot. This is actually probably going to be like his biggest role, but I think people seem to be really excited about it. So I'm excited about it.
I'm excited for Fernando's character. I really like the idea that, so I'm stealing this from Noelle LaCroix on the Buffy podcast, Still Pretty, that they do with Lonnie. But they said something about, spoilers for Buffy, when Tara dies in season 6, and like Willow's grief being a specifically queer grief that like none of the people around her really understand. And so I like the idea that, although, I don't know, I'm trying to remember, like I guess we've already seen Emily be dead in season 2 in a way that you don't really get in the book. But yeah, I like the idea that Fernando is there as a queer man for Sarah and kind of like helping her through that grief in a way that like the other straight people around her like might not be able to understand. That there's just something like very specific about that type of loss.
I'm very excited to see his relationship with both Sarah and Gallowglass. And just in general, I love Fernando, so it'll be great to see him. But in general, with this casting, I will say I'm kind of, like, not about any specific actor, but I am upset that one human aside, it's all vampires. I mean, the show's called The Discovery of Witches.
You want more witches?
I do. Where's Janet Gowdy? Where's Linda Crosby? Where's all these witches that Diana connects with in modern day?
The Madison Coven?
And there's and other people.
Okay.
Like Janet Gowdy is really important to the story.
I'm trying to remember.
I don't think you would have met where you are in the book. I don't think you would have met Janet Gowdy yet.
Okay, yeah, I don't think so. I'm trying to remember in Chris's lab, there aren't witches in Chris's lab, right? Just demons and vampires?
Just demons and his like lab assistant dude who's a vampire.
Okay, interesting. Yeah, they didn't announce any casting for members of the lab, so I'm assuming that's going to be like a much abbreviated part of the story.
And like Geraldine aside, these are all men.
Yeah.
And I'm like, why are there no women characters? Why? I like the bits of book 3 that are Diana reconnecting with modern day women and her like trying to find her like life balance again and have, you know, her witch friends and her science friends and her children and, you know, and her family and trying to balance all that. I like that that's a focus for her. So I'm upset that and it's a discovery of witches. Why are they making it all about vampires? I mean, I get that there's a lot of the plot stuff with the vampires.
Yeah.
But the witches are important too.
Yeah, I mean, I guess if you only have, 7 or 8 episodes?
7.
Like, the things that get cut are basically Diana talking about her feelings to other witches.
Sure, and there are things that they can change that the witches were important in, I guess. But Janet Gowdy,
I wonder if they're going to repurpose Satu.
Okay, maybe into Janet's role.
Maybe.
I guess I can see that. I kind of like that better than what happens with Satu in the book, but I'm like specifically, because I don't want to spoil Anya, not explaining who or what Janet Gowdy is.
Satu switches sides because Knox wouldn't let her come to set tour and she got mad?
Well, it's more complicated than that.
Okay.
But...
Or maybe there's going to be more casting that they just haven't announced yet.
Maybe.
Which is dumb because they've already finished filming.
Yeah. No, but I guess I can see them putting Satu into Janet's role.
I guess we'll see.
I just thought it was really important for Diana to be able to talk to Janet about things.
Well, they might do a thing where we just get like a quick snippet of Diana doing those things. And so she's like an extra or a quick just credited with a scene. And so isn't worthy of a big casting announcement.
Sure. Okay. Anya,
they might do
how
that.
upset are you if I spoil you for a big thing?
I can just take my headphones out for a second.
Sure. So Janet Gowdy is a Brightborn. She's Benjamin was her grandfather or great-grandfather. And talking to her is how Diana figures out who and what her children are going to be.
Oh, yeah. I don't know that they could give that to Satu.
So I can see Satu being the person who is on the council who, like, you know, sways opinion or helps sway opinion. But I just feel like they have to have Diana talk to somebody about the children.
Okay, I'm back. Sorry.
Wonderful. So, yeah, that's how I feel about them not casting Janet Gowdy.
Okay.
So I did pull some screenshots from the teaser, so we can talk about if we want. We got like Chris in his lab coat, like I said. I love the look that they've given modern day Hubbard.
I mean, Hubbard definitely looks less like a creepy, greasy creeper.
Yeah. When I pulled that, I was like, who even is this? And then I was like, oh, it's Hubbard. Oh my God.
Mm-hmm.
I like it.
Oh my God, it is. Yeah. They did a great job with him, I think.
Mm-hmm. And then we get that shot of Jack there. That looks very Jack. He looks great. I used to think that the next book that I really wanted was from Deborah was a Gallowglass book, but actually, I think more than anything, I want a Jack book. Because I just want to know that he's happy. You know? I just want him to get his own happy ending. And then I love this power shot of Miriam getting off a helicopter. So
that's a great shot of Miriam.
Yeah, I love it. And I'm just excited for more Miriam because I love her.
Yes. Oh my God. I love Miriam too. Actually, if I could magically add in either more Miriam or more Gallowglass, I don't know who I would choose. It's such a tough choice.
And then we get a quick shot of Sophie and Margaret, which I like seeing it there because in the book, Sophie and Nat and Margaret basically disappear after the first bit and then they never come back. Mm-hmm. So I hope that doesn't happen in the show just because I like them a lot and I like the actors. And we got so much of Sophie's actress this season that it would be a shame because between Sophie and not Sophie, we got a lot of her. Mm-hmm. So it'd be a shame not to have her next season. And then we have this really weird scene where they're all touching a sword, which I don't think happened in the book, but you do in the background get a glimpse of newborn Bishop Claremont twins. So I thought that was...
Are you sure that that's not Margaret?
Look how tiny that baby is, and look at how large the baby Sophie is holding. That is a newborn. That is not a newborn. And also, I think like you can see some white blankety stuff over here. You can't see where I'm pointing.
No, but I mean, I know what you're talking about, but I was just thinking the hat looks the same. But I guess they could have similar hats.
I guess the hat does look very similar, but that is a tiny, tiny baby. And that is not that's a small baby, but it's not a tiny baby. This is the best conversation. But I want to know what's going on with this sword also, because I don't think that was a thing in the book. What? I don't remember a sword.
It looks like a symbol of unity or something.
Although I guess in the book they do like induct the twins into the Order of Lazarus like right away. So that might be what's going on there, something like that.
Maybe.
And then we get modern day Gallowglass.
Yes,
with
we
some
do.
Fernando. and they look great.
Mm-hmm. I kind of wish Gallaglass still had long hair, though.
I do too.
I liked his long hair.
I hope we get to see his tattoos that he has in the book.
Maybe. Everybody's got long sleeves in all of these pictures.
It's true. And then there's Sarah looking sad, and I'm pretty sure from the background that it looks like she's at the altar where M died. And then I didn't screenshot the stuff that you get like a lingering look at, which is just Matthew and Diana looking like they are just finishing up their time walking.
All in all, I think it's going to be a great season.
Me too. I'm excited. And with them already releasing a teaser, like we must be getting it so much quicker. They did say 2022, so we know at least it's not going to be a 3-year wait.
Yeah, I'm guessing it'll probably be January like this season was.
That would be my guess also.
I am very excited to talk about science with you guys because there's so much more science in book 3. And yeah, I mean, I'm, like I said, about halfway through, I think. And yeah, we're spending a lot of time in lab. So I still don't know what causes blood rage or any of that, but I'm very excited to find out.
Do you, going off what we've talked about in our bonus episodes about there being something about the pre-vampire DNA that would trigger something, do you have a guess about what causes blood rage?
I mean, other than what you just said very vaguely, not really. Like that is kind of my one guess is that it is something about the human DNA that when you like add the vampire to it, either the blood rage gene either gets triggered or not, depending on what the background human DNA is.
If I gave you a hint about unity being a big theme this next season, do you think you'd get a guess?
Your hints are like not quite getting me all the way there.
Yeah, okay.
We'll see. I'm sure that as soon as I get there in the book, I'm going to be like, oh, of course, and then immediately text you. But we'll see.
All right.
I have one very important question for you guys. And Caitlin, you and I kind of already talked about this before, but do you think that we're going to have Ghost M and Ghost Philippe in season 3?
I just don't see how they could do it because they haven't had the ghosts. So it would be so jarring and weird. Like a part of me really wants it, but a part of me really doesn't want it because I don't know how they would do it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, from where I am in the books right now, it seems like it would be really easy to just cut them out. But again, I don't know.
No, it would. It doesn't really change.
Okay. So it's basically like just at the beginning.
And you see a little bit more of the ghosts, but they don't really impact the story.
I mean, they're more for emotional impact and exposition than anything.
Okay. Yeah, I'm going to say no then. You could have Diana possibly contacting them via like higher magics, but I don't know.
I can see them maybe working them in a different way, but I haven't, and this might mean nothing, I haven't heard anything about them being on set.
That's fair.
But again, like, I'm sure their thing, that doesn't necessarily mean they haven't been on set.
Right.
I don't know. I don't think so. And I am a little sad about it, not for that scene at the beginning, but I do like the scene at the end.
Yeah. Okay.
Part of me wants them to still sort of end with that scene, but like cut Philippe out. Because I think it would just be a nice scene to end with. I don't know how they're going to end it because so much of the last like 10th of book 3 is just epilogue.
Well, I mean, they can end it like the Lord of the Rings movies and just
keep giving us more and more and more. Yeah. But I guess I mean, I don't know what they're going to choose for their last scene. I like, because the scene that I'm thinking of, and this isn't plot spoilers, Anya, so I'm gonna spoil you. Sorry. Like Diana sees Philippe, has a conversation with him, which is a very cute, nice conversation. I do like it, but they could easily cut that out. But then, based on something said in that conversation, they're outside Septer. I guess they're just like in the field, and then she and Matthew kind of dance together. And I think that would be kind of cute to end it on. I have no idea where the children are at that point. Isabeau probably has them. She usually tries to just take them.
Well, I guess we'll see.
Yeah.
Hopefully in early 2022.
Hopefully.
And who knows, maybe they will give us some like surprise casting information between now and then, and we will have some material to have some bonus episodes.
Insofar as bonus episodes, I am going to make Anya do one with me about book science, because I suspect a lot of that science is going to get cut from the show, and I would like to hear her conversation on all the sciencey stuff that happens in the book.
Okay, yeah, I should have been taking notes. Although actually maybe not, because I just want to finish it the first time, be like fully immersed in the experience of reading it. But yeah, I definitely have had a lot of thoughts as I've been reading about the science.
Cool.
So we have at least one bonus episode, and I assume there's going to be more trailers that we can talk about and stuff. All right, well, that was everything that we think of season 2 and a little bit of season 3. If you have any thoughts or anything you wish to tell us, you can tweet us at DesireMadeReal, or you can email us at desiremaderealpod@gmail.com. I'm Caitlin, and you can follow me and find my other shows on Twitter at InferiorCaitlin. And again, if you want to keep listening to Mandy and I talk, you can check out our new show, Enter the Fold, about Shadow and Bone.
I'm Anya, and you can find me on Twitter at StrangelyLiteral. That's strangely, then LITERL.
And I am Mandy Kay, and you can find this show and all of the other Eloquent Gushing shows, like our new podcast, Enter the Fold, at eloquentgushing.com. We are also on Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram at Eloquent Gushing, or you can give me a shout out on Twitter at Mandy Kay.
And like I said, we'll be back when I force Anya to talk about science.
Okay, before we leave, can I just ask for the 30-second pitch for Shadow and Bone? Because I have never even heard of this book until you told me you were podcasting about it. Why should I read this book, watch the TV show?
Well, I haven't read the book.
Oh, interesting. Okay, so you're going to be going into the TV show with just a naive
yes,
perspective.
Naive.
And apparently I'm going to be lied to, and I have already been lied to.
You have.
Naive is, I don't mean that in a bad way, just like a...
No, I like the word choice. I was
literal way, yeah.
Yeah. Okay, 30-second pitch about the show.
Or about the book. Yeah, I guess either way.
Yeah. Honestly, I like what something that I did say in our trailer episode, that the author always says about it when her inspiration to write it was, what if darkness was a place?
Oh, okay. That's very intriguing.
Yeah. That and Russian-inspired political fantasy character drama with a side of criminal heist novel or show, but with magic.
Cool.
Yeah, I mean, what about that doesn't sound amazing?
Yeah. And until we meet again, remember that with every ending, there's a new beginning.
Do you want to try that again without laughing?
No,
I
kind of liked it with the laughing because Anya really threw me off there, so I think it's fine.
Yeah,
Okay.
sorry. You were on the way out, and I just destroyed your flow.
Yeah.